Dr. Uche back here again. How are you doing? Welcome back to my channel. And welcome if you're watching it on Facebook. I'm a publisher, I'm a biography writing coach, I'm a book reviewer, and yes, I'm a real life physician too, hence the title. But I love books and stories. I come here to share biography writing tips. I do book reviews and I do children's book read alouds. That's a really fun part of what I do here. It's so great to have you. I'm so glad you could join me because today I am reviewing a book, a work of fiction. I'm so excited. This is Turning Tables by Alice Takawira. Turning Tables by Alice Takawira. Make sure you hit subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when I upload new videos, okay? All right, I'm gonna dig right in. I want to start by telling you about the author because it's her debut novel and we want to get familiar. I am looking forward to many great works from this author in the future. I so loved reading her book. So, Alice Takawira was born and raised in Zimbabwe. After receiving a bachelor's degree in physiotherapy from the University of Zimbabwe, she relocated to London for work. In 2004, she moved to America to attend Emory University and graduated with a master's in public health. Alice currently lives in Atlanta with her husband and 2 kids. When she's not working as a geriatric physical therapist, she enjoys binge watching foreign language dramas, exploring new places, trying exotic foods, and learning new languages. She's the proud creator of the Verenga Girls Book Club on Facebook. That's VERENGA, Girls Book Club, a place to connect with fellow book lovers. To learn more about Alice and her work, visit website www.alicetakawira.com. This is the spelling. Alice, AliceTakawira, one word, alicetakawira.com. And I believe she's on Instagram as alice.takawira.writes, as in writes, she writes something. And she is also on Facebook, on Goodreads, and on Twitter, at Rudotax. So that's RUDOTAKS, Rudotax, I would say. So I'm sure it's easy to find her once you get on the website. You should be able to navigate to her various social media platforms. So let's talk about Turning Tables. Turning Tables is a fantastic write-up, fantastic piece of fiction. It talks about the immigrant experience. It talks about multicultural dating. It talks about becoming. I love that word becoming, introduced by the former First Lady, Michelle Obama. Becoming as in trying to realize your potential, trying to find yourself as an adult in the world. It talks about domestic violence. It talks about family. It talks about a whole lot. It talks about racism and so many other things. And so I really hope you get a copy and read it. But before we do that, I want to tell you some more. The book centers around a young woman, Maita. Maita is Zimbabwean. She emigrates to the UK. And she is a physical therapist or physiotherapist. We call it in a British system. So she is carrying on with work, trying to navigate being in a new country, getting to adjust to a new culture, a new way of doing things. But she's also navigating love. She meets a lovely young Nigerian British physician, Ade, and they get in a relationship. They move in together, they're forging ahead, but whoops, things don't go too well. There's a misunderstanding, there's a miscommunication, there's failure of this young couple to see eye to eye on certain important things. Ade is feeling unappreciated. Alice is feeling exploited. And so they part ways. And in actual fact, this brings us to the very beginning of the book because she organizes the story in such a manner that we start off where that breakup has already happened and she is traveling. She caught a flight and she happens to sit next to a certain British guy, Chris. And so they get talking, and this is when she just broken up. Well, this is not when she just broken up. This is some months after she'd broken up with Ade, or perhaps even a whole year. And right about the time she is realizing that she actually does want Ade back. She wants to get back with him. She wants to go back with him and apologize for how she acted and say, I realize I actually do want you in my life. This is when she's trying to figure out how to approach Ade back and have this chat. And so this Chris comes in her life, starts talking to her on the flight, and he is obsessed. He is determined to hook up with her after that meeting on the flight. Never mind a few things that happened during their discussion, and she is realizing he's actually pretty naive and clueless about Africa, which sadly is not uncommon for people to not know a lot about the continent, to think for starters that it's a country and everybody is the same, okay? And you're talking about a continent where a single country, Nigeria, has over 250 languages, 250 different people, different cultures, right? So not to talk of the whole continent. We are so different. I mean, that is the biggest pool of human diversity is the continent of Africa, but most people don't know that. So she overlooks that naivete, she overlooks that ignorance, that cluelessness, and she keeps chatting to this guy, but it's clear this guy is more into her than she is into him because she's trying to get back together with Ade. She ends up meeting him around the time when she has agreed to see Chris, go out on some dates with him. And unfortunately, Ade has moved on. You know, he's dating another girl, another Zimbabwean girl, it turns out, and he's decided he wants to work things out with her. He doesn't want to hook back up with Maita. And now you get to realize Ade is probably more hurt than realistic because there's a very sort of lukewarm relationship with this other Nigerian girl, but he doesn't want to face that. Ade is not being realistic. He is trying to not focus on the hurt and deceiving himself into thinking he's actually going to forge something with this new Zimbabwean girl. Whatever the case, he turns down her attempts for them to hook back up. And so Maita carries on with Chris. They carry on with their relationship. They move in together at some point. Maita is struggling at this point with the challenges of being an immigrant, trying to get her papers, trying to further her education, trying to get a job. They actually sort of find each other and discover each other in the US, mind you, because after Maita broke up with Ade, she moved to the US. And so she and Chris are having their relationship in the US, and Ade is back home in England. And when she had gone to talk to Ade, she'd flown back to England to try and meet up with them. But hey, it didn't work. So she ends back up in the US. So she keeps going on with Chris. And here we learn the challenges of intercultural dating, interracial dating, some of the experiences they have where even Chris is puzzled as to a few things that many of us as people of color know to be things that happen. But when it happens to him and his Black girlfriend, he's like, why would that happen? You know, he can't believe that somebody comes up to them, talks to him, ignores his girlfriend, and little things like that. He can't believe that something is okay when he goes to ask, and when the girlfriend shows up, suddenly, no, it's not okay. We're not interested. We don't have any hotel rooms, and da-da-da-da-da. Things that he didn't know in his life. He hadn't encountered. But they keep making progress. You know, they keep going ahead, and she's going ahead with him, overlooking some subtle issues, things that start off in a very subtle way, that he has an anger problem, that he can be aggressive and violent, and she's ignoring all this. But, you know, things come to a hit when Ade finally decides that this whole thing with Noma his other girlfriend is not working. I really need to get back with Maita. I want to reach back out to her, talk to her. I want her back, see if we can clear the air and carry on and get back in a relationship. So she communicates, only to not be aware that the person writing him back happens to be Chris. Somehow he chances upon his email when Maita is away. And so he gets into this very incredibly pathetic web of deceiving Ade into thinking that he is communicating with Maita when he has changed the email around, given him another email address, said, yeah, this is Maita, this is my new email address. So now Ade is chatting with Chris, thinking he's chatting with Maita. So somehow they arranged this rendezvous. Well, Chris, Ade thinks he arranged something to meet up with Maita in the US, not knowing that Chris is the one who arranged a rendezvous and he's going to meet him. So this happens. You know, this guy flies across the pond, goes to the US, and he's in a hotel waiting to meet up with, he thought, Maita. Chris shows up. I'm not going to tell you what happened when he shows up. I'm going to let you read for yourself. But right about now, you get dumped into this maze of twists and turns, and you're waiting to see, oh my God, what's going to happen next? How is this going to end? It's really something you have to discover for yourself, how the author really takes us through the story, and how eventually the two lovers come together under pretty horrific circumstances, and how everything leads to a pretty happy ending. I'm not gonna give any more away because I want you to read it for yourself. I love happy endings when they happen. They don't always happen, but I also think that the author is brave enough to tackle domestic violence. She's brave enough to tackle challenges of immigration. She's brave enough to give the average person a bit of a view into the experience some other people have that perhaps they are not used to, have not encountered. I just think this is a great piece of fiction. I really liked it. I stayed up late to finish reading it on the last night. Like she says, two lovers, two continents, two cultures, one unforgettable love story. It's an intricate web. It takes us through so many societal, very real societal issues. And I highly recommend this. 5 stars, 5 stars. I highly recommend this book. I loved it. I can't wait to see more work from this very talented author. This is Turning Tables by Alice Takawira, and I hope you consider reading it. And when you do, let me know what you think. Dr. Uche here. I can't wait to come back again to discuss a book with you, or have a children's book read aloud, or give you a tip to help you on your journey to writing your biography. So till next time, you take care. Bye-bye.